Paris Hilton. Okay, when you hear that name, you probably think you know the whole story, right? The catchphrases, the reality TV, the whole vibe. But what if I told you that was all a character, a persona she created just to survive? Well, today, we're diving into the real story, the one she's finally telling herself. And this quote, it just says it all, doesn't it? For literally years, the media, the tabloids, they all wrote her story for her, but they never really knew the truth. Now we're going to explore how she's taking back the pen and completely rewriting her own narrative on her own terms. So, first things first, we have to understand the character, the one we all remember from the 2000s. Because it wasn't just some act for the cameras, it was actually something much, much deeper. See, this wasn't about getting famous. Not really. It was about survival. She built this entire persona as a shield, a kind of defense mechanism to deal with a world that just felt completely unsafe. For all those years, we were all seeing the armor, but we never got to see the actual person inside. And here it is, laid out plain and simple. On the left, you've got the public persona we all knew. That's hot, the simple life, the whole thing. And on the right, you have the private truth. This character wasn't just an act, it was literally a shield she put up against her own fear. It was her way to navigate a world that felt totally overwhelming. So, what changed? What was the big turning point? Well, it was her documentary with director Bruce Robertson. He created a space for her that felt so safe that, for the very first time, she felt like she could finally drop the mask. And that was really the beginning of her whole journey to reclaim her true self. This new sense of freedom and authenticity, it led right into the next major chapter of her life, motherhood. But this wasn't just about changing diapers. It was about changing the world. This quote, wow, it's so powerful. She talks about how having a daughter, especially, made her look back at her own childhood and all the pain she went through. And that reflection, it became a massive catalyst for her to take action. So now, her personal pain has become her public purpose. She's become this fierce advocate, working tirelessly to protect the next generation from experiencing similar trauma. She's not just sharing her story anymore. She's out there fighting for real, systemic change. But her journey to get to this point was not easy. It was filled with incredible hardship. In fact, it was through facing some truly devastating loss that she ended up forging this unbreakable resilience. I mean, just try to imagine losing your most precious memories. Not once, but twice. First, a trailer that had all of her childhood photos and videos was stolen. Then her entire home, with everything in it, was just consumed by the Malibu fire. But it was from the ashes of that devastation that she found a strength she never knew she had. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit to another area where she is completely rewriting the narrative: neurodiversity. She's not just talking about ADHD, she's actively working to reframe it as a source of incredible strength. This question right here, it challenges everything we think we know about ADHD. What if it's not a disorder at all? What if it's just a different way of seeing the world? A unique strength, just waiting to be unlocked. And this is exactly how she sees it. To her, ADHD isn't some weakness to be ashamed of, it's a superpower. It's all about learning how to harness that unique energy and creativity and building a world where everyone, no matter their neurotype, can actually thrive. And she makes a great point here. Many of history's most brilliant minds, we're talking artists, creators, scientists, they all had ADHD. It's not a barrier to success. In a lot of cases, it's actually part of what fuels their genius. And this is where her advocacy has this incredible real-world impact. She shares these amazing stories from parents who tell her that her song, which is about her own experience, has become an anthem for their kids. Children who once felt so ashamed of their ADHD are now literally singing about it being their superpower every single morning. I mean, that's the power of art right there. She's using her music to turn shame into celebration, to give a voice to people who felt silenced, and to create this amazing community of acceptance and understanding. So the main takeaway from her entire journey is this: your past does not have to define your future. The story that other people have told about you, that is not the end. She is living, breathing proof that it is absolutely possible to take back control and reclaim your own happiness. And that leaves us with one last really powerful question. Her journey has been all about taking the pen back from everyone else and finally writing her own narrative. So it really makes you think, who's holding the pen in your life.